faith, family, and everything else that matters to you from a godly point of view. Welcome to the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast.
Hey, welcome in. It is time for the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast. My name is Mark Harvard. I'm one of the associate pastors here at Clearbranch in Trussville, Alabama. With us this week, once again, our lead pastor, Jeremy Alville. Jeremy, we've got company.
We do. It's my favorite kind of days. It takes a little bit of the heavy lifting off of us because we can rely on somebody else. It's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people are done listening to us talk. I mean, we talk all the time.
We do. We talk. They hear us nonstop.
Absolutely.
In fact, they probably wish they heard us less.
I pray for them.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, thank you for tuning in one way or the other.
We appreciate it. And our guest here in the studio, we're going to generously call this a studio, is James Curlee. Now, Jamie, you're with Designs for Hope. First off, thanks for being here. And second off, tell us a little bit about Designs for Hope.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the invite here. This is always awesome to get to be a part of something and kind of spread what we do with Designs for Hope. It's actually an organization that me and a fellow teacher, I'm a retired teacher at Trussville High School. I retired 2 years ago. Still coach there. I'm in my last year of coaching. Year 35, I believe, is enough. And anyway, when I was teaching probably 15 years ago, a fellow named Chris Bond, who ran our kind of engineering program at Trussville High School, decided to go on a mission trip with his church, and it was somewhere kind of in the Springville area, I think. Well, they went to Africa, and one of the things they did when they were there, they realized they went to a village that had no clean water. And, for thousands of years, people in Africa have been drinking disgusting, dirty water. So he just got, I guess, God just reached down and put it on his heart to do what he can about that. Because you always sit there and think, what can I do for a billion people 10,000 miles away? There's very little. Well, Chris just really got a passion in his heart to get clean water to these people, whether it's one at a time, 10 at a time, just start knocking down as many walls as he could get to get clean water to these people. So he, being a hiker and kind of an outdoorsman, realized that Sawyer, it's a company called Sawyer, makes a water filter. And one of the water filters will clean up to 1 million gallons of water if properly taken care of. And it's about a $30 or $40 water filter. So just kind of out of the blue, within a year or two, he decided to come up with a company called, a group called Designs for Hope. And since I was teaching with him and knew him very well, and I said, well, we'll help out. So I kind of got on the board of directors. We kind of started very small. And the very first mission trip was taking some 5-gallon buckets and these Sawyer water filters and some tubing, and we would go to these villages and just drill a hole in the bucket, attach the tubing, and have a kind of a gravity-filled falling of water into a clean bucket, and they'd put their dirty, yucky water into that bucket, and it would drip in. They would have clean water. So the first year or two was nothing but 5-gallon buckets and some simple filters, and it was, we're reaching a few small villages and a few areas, and Chris was wise enough to tie it into, even though Designs for Hope isn't technically a religious organization, we come in and we attach to a church in the local village, and we talk to the pastors, and we get some of their, ideas of where to set these things up at a local place. So we go into the churches, usually in schools, bring these filters, and while we're there, we're going to share the gospel. While we just happen to be there.
We're here. We've got the Bibles. Let's do this. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I mean, and how apropos, right? Considering the living water nature.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's so good.
Now, Jamie, you're talking about these filters. What are these? I mean, it's more than just a bucket, right? What goes into these filters? Describe this to me.
Okay, well, the bucket is just a 5-gallon bucket you could buy at Home Depot anywhere. There's nothing difficult about that. The filter is probably not much bigger than a toothpaste canister. They're not very big. They're maybe an inch or two around and maybe 4 or 5 inches long. So they're not very big. They make smaller ones. They have a 10,000 gallon, 100,000 gallon one, but these were 1 million gallons of clean water. So that was kind of something you think in a lifetime, how much water are you going to drink, per liter, per gallon.
Yeah.
And that'll last a while. It typically will take a family between 5 to 8 years in these particular villages to drink that much water.
Wow.
So it was just a small venture that he got tied into, and the next thing you know, we're bringing in, electrical devices. He's actually an electrical engineer from University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Big win last night. And so he decided that not only we're going to do the water filters, he kind of let a couple of other people take that. He went into electrical design and went and bought solar panels and could adapt them and adjust them to travel. So we would go to places and bring solar panels that we would attach to maybe the church building about the size of maybe a window frame.
Okay.
And then run a battery so that the church could have lights, sound if they needed it, even for the pastoral home, where they could have lights in their home, because most of these places are using candlelight and burning all kinds of trash and wood and even animal dung. In some of these places, they'll take the dried animal dung and burn it, which creates a nasty smell and chemicals for the eyes. So little by little, Designs for Hope turned into just a couple of 5-gallon buckets into now where we're digging wells 200 to 300 feet deep, pumping the water up either solar-wise or mechanically or hand pumped into these 5,000-gallon buckets, or tanks rather, that are then distributed evenly to the village people or particular places. And it's just grown. Our first budget, our first year, I think, was $10,000.
Wow.
That was it for the whole year. And now we're well over $1 million, and we have some fantastic corporate sponsors and tons of people in areas and churches that, kind of pipe in there and send us on these trips. I just got back from Ethiopia. It's crazy. This time last year, I had just returned from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yes, I remember that.
In Tanzania as a fundraiser. Chris came to me. He said, I have the dumbest idea for a fundraiser.
I think he was right.
And I was just kidding. I was like, are you crazy? Nobody climbs a mountain for a fundraiser. Well, 8 of us climbed Kilimanjaro and raised over $130,000.
That's amazing.
So I took my
Memory
portion.
serves, it whooped you guys a little bit too,
It
didn't
whooped
it?
me like a yard dog. Yes, I got up there pretty easy, but on the way down was brutal. But it was definitely worth it because I raised $15,000. So we went back to right outside of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and put in a water well in a village last September. So it's just been a blessing to be a part of it and just to see it grow. And Chris has done such a wonderful job with it.
And you went from a $10,000 budget, and from what the price breakdown that you're giving me, that's a lot that can be done just for $10,000. With these filters only being a quick $35 part, and then everything. And I mean, then you have to get people there, you have to get training and all that, but a lot to go for $10,000. And now you've spread into all these other countries, and
now you're doing solar power based stuff.
Yes.
And man, it's amazing. I had a conversation with Chris not too long ago about the possibility of us helping them with a build of those boxes, so that they'd be able to take those and provide those to people. And so that's kind of the next step, I guess, is for us to start looking at ways for us to be more involved. Because this is our second time that we've been hosting the 5K, which is amazing, and we're grateful for that. If you guys haven't signed up for that, you can find links to that on our Facebook page.
It's
and
on our
social
website
media.
as well.
You can also find it on the information out there for Designs for Hope if you look it up there. So tons of opportunities. But come and run with us on the 14th and help us to better help those who need clean water and solar power and everything else. Yeah. What is there anything else that you guys are doing that goes above and beyond this? I mean, not that this is not already a lot. In a lot of ways, you've climbed some pretty big mountains.
What else do you want from them,
Not
Jeremy?
just Kilimanjaro. Well, I mean, I had a conversation with Chris like earlier in the year, and he was telling me that they were always kind of looking at new things to be doing and new ways to help. Are there any new things on the frontier?
Definitely. Chris he's just a forward thinker, and he took something small and it's growing, and he's always looking at what's next. We live in the moment, but he's always looking what else can Designs for Hope do. So we have also got into battery operated electronic devices where we will attach a generator to a bicycle for some of these pastors in Africa, because they ride everywhere. A lot of them, it's crazy. None of them have phones. None of them have cars, but they all have a phone. The world is very flat, so you've got to charge it. In some of these villages, they'll charge you $2 to charge your phone, which is almost a half a day's pay.
Oh my gosh.
For some of these places. So Chris has developed a generator that attaches to a bicycle, and then the battery sits up under the seat. So as they ride around all day, the generator is charging the battery. So at the end of the day, they take the battery out, put it in their house, and they hook it up to an LED light system that uses very low, electricity or amperage, and can light up their house for the day, or even use that small battery for their church.
And then also charge their phone.
And charge their phone.
Can you imagine if they have to do that to actually power the church while they're preaching?
That would be pretty amazing. They would be really, really fit preachers.
They would.
They are. Everybody over there,
no one would go over time.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, most of the places we go to, there's not a lot of overweight obesity because there's barely enough food to have, and they've got to walk everywhere and bike everywhere. So he's got the generator issue. We have other ideas we're going to do in Honduras where we take a machine that puts in kind of like it's a plant they grow that needs to be shredded. The outside needs to be shredded. So a lot of Designs for Hope is just engineering ideas.
Yeah.
So they were trying to develop some type of shredder that they could take to the jungles of Honduras for these villages where they have to take this plant and they have to cut it and shred it, kind of like peel it like a potato.
Yeah.
And Chris was looking at a design for a machine that does that automatically.
Man.
Saving hours and hours so they can produce more of their product to sell and have. And again, just trying to constantly improve lives wherever he goes, whether it's water or food or whatever. Medical, we've done a few medical trips where we go to these places and bring in a doctor and treat people. And one time we were expecting, I think this was in Uganda, we were expecting maybe 15, 20 people a day. In 4 days, we saw over 700 people.
Oh, my God.
And 30 of them had malaria, which they would have died had they not come to that clinic. So it was just beautiful.
Chris is a modern day Eli Whitney. I mean, that's what it is. He's making the cotton gin over and over and over again, but it's all new purposes. That's fantastic.
But he's increasing. You're increasing efficiency. It's going beyond survival. It's more into thriving.
Yeah.
And helping these communities as they grow, and not just get from day to day, but get to a place where they can really sustain.
Yeah. But the one thing I was really, kind of jazzed about, we need to get Chris on here at some point too. So Chris, if you're listening, let me know when you're free. We'd love to have you come join us. But this idea of not only meeting the need of water, but then also having the opportunity to help these people to create sustainable forms of income and to ease the process of life. I mean, we're not talking about refrigerators and big screen televisions here. We're talking about stuff that just allows them to a bit more easily, get through the difficulties of life, because there's plenty of difficulties. And what a beautiful way to do that, man.
Yeah, and like I said, even everywhere we go, we're going to share the gospel.
Oh, absolutely.
So, not only we've given them water to help them tomorrow, we're giving that eternal water. That was kind of one of the things we started with, is that, that you're going to drink dirty water, but we're going to give you something like Christ said, come to me and you'll never thirst again.
That's right.
And so we love to get in. That's why we try to tie into a church or some type of hospital/school, and we get that involved, and then the people come to that. And we're going let's tell you about Jesus.
Now we have to go to Africa.
Come on. There's a trip.
Mark's like, I don't know.
You might be able to get me on a plane.
That could be. I think
I've done India.
Fun stuff there.
And we're in India. We're actually in Central America, India, through Africa, Sri Lanka, a couple of different places. Like I said, we started in one little place in Kenya.
Wow.
And it has grown into probably 17 or 18 different countries. And again, so we can go into Central America if you want a little bit of a shorter airplane trip, a little safer maybe, or you can get on that 16.
If I'm going to go, let's go.
Yeah. You can do the 16-hour flight from Atlanta.
I got to make it worth the passport trouble.
Well, it's wild. Mark and I have been having this conversation for a while. We do, like as Mark said, a lot of work in India, specifically Hyderabad, with gospel trumpets. And I've been messaging with Patrick quite a bit there, who is the head of gospel trumpets. And we love him dearly. We support hundreds of kids there through the church, and he's a newlywed.
Yeah, awesome.
And, what a wonderful man and a great family. And he and his daughter Dara and Maranatha, his wife. And at any rate, great opportunities there. And Mark and I are supposed to be planning to take a trip to India here probably next year. How cool would it be to do like India to Africa and get it all done in one fell swoop?
Wow, the Clearbranch World Tour.
I like it. I like it.
We're gonna have to make T-shirts.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be good. Oh man,
I will definitely say take your Pepto-Bismol.
Oh man, no doubt.
Because it can be brutal.
We'll be like a church-centered pit bull.
Oh, that's
the singer, not the dog.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Oh man.
Oh, wow.
Worldwide, baby.
Yeah. If you have to say it, you're really not worldwide.
Yeah, that's it.
That's true.
So, okay, you're going into all these communities to try to wrestle us back. Jeremy and I are so bad about going down rabbit trails. Yeah, really. Somebody jingles their keys, it's over. But going into all these communities, have you had any pushback from local environment, the authorities, politically, anything like that?
Typically, no. Chris does a super job. We're never going to take a team into a place that's going to be dangerous because it started with just a few of us men going. And then probably by 2015, I asked Chris if I could take my 16-year-old son on a trip to Uganda with us. And he was kind of hesitant, but we did it. It worked well. Next thing you know, we've got younger kids going, we've got young ladies going, we've got women going on the trips. It's open for everybody. So Chris does a super job of, before we get feet on the ground, to make sure that it is a place that the government is cool with, because we're coming to help. Sure. And there's very few governments that are going to be against that. Uganda, Kenya, those places are fantastic with Christianity. They are so wide open to that. We can come in and say and typically do whatever we want. Now, anytime you go into a place that Satan has a stronghold, you're going to get some resistance. You're going to get some local. We've never, thank the Lord, had a problem with any local disturbances, any violence or anything like that. We pray these things up for that hedge of protection well before we leave Birmingham or Atlanta, wherever we're going. And Lord has done a super job of protecting Chris and just many, many groups that go. So far, no, and I pray that it stays that way. And I think that God has this, ordained to be a successful trip when we go, and so far so good. And all the big governments have been fantastic. Where we, even in the India, you can get into some areas where they don't want to hear anything about Jesus, and Chris gets in the areas where it's established, and then we go from there.
Yeah. I know in Hyderabad we've had issues with, because that's a very Muslim and Hindu area. Christianity not illegal, but very much frowned on.
Yeah.
So you hit some
walk
pushback.
a fine line. Yeah.
You have to kind of really watch your P's and Q's there.
Yeah. So because they're watching you.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't,
intently.
They want to make sure you're not doing anything that's negating what they're trying to do.
But that advanced work goes a long way, though, toward ensuring safety, but also ensuring effectiveness. You know? If you're free to walk and do what you need to do, it allows you to be more efficient, allows things to to go easier.
Yeah, we typically, Chris, we usually send 1 or 2 people into an area first, maybe 6 months to 9 months out early to get a field for the land. What can we really do to help them? Yeah. Is it going to be safe if we bring a team? Because we've been on one trip where it needed to be probably men only. Yeah. That in case something happened, we could defend ourselves a little bit better and just be a little bit safer, because the last thing we want to do is take a team of somebody from a local church and somebody get injured or hurt or whatever along those lines. Yeah. So Chris does a super job of laying the plan out early. We never just jump into an area and say, okay, God, wherever we land, bless us. He does a real good job of laying the foundation first and getting it a safe area. So anybody that wants to go with us, I assure you, I've taken my son and his girlfriend / fiance. They'll be hopefully engaged here soon. We just got back from
Did you just let the cat out of the bag?
Hint.
Well, she has been ready for like 2 years. Oh, okay. My son has got the cold feet.
I think that was a hint that was dropped over there.
Yeah. Well, I told him. I've already told him. I said, look, if y'all break up, we're keeping her. So.
I like that.
So anyway, she just got back from us to Ethiopia. Me, Chris, my son, and his girlfriend. We went to, way out, 12 hours from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which is the capital, and super safe. I felt, I told her father, I said, look, I will step in front of a bullet for her. Sure. And he's like, sure, great. And there was absolutely no problem.
Sure, great. So, just let me know when you're back.
Just make sure she comes back, whether you do or not.
We're going to miss you, Jamie. That's tough, right?
So, but I wouldn't take my future daughter-in-law to a place that would, I would think it would be any damage. So when we go to these places, it's incredibly safe.
Wow. That's cool stuff.
That is neat. In your travels, has there been just a moment that you've had that has been, you have those cloud parting moments where it's like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why God has me in this role. Has there been a moment like that for you?
It's funny you say that. Just this past trip, now I've been blessed to go 5 or 6 times over there. This past trip, we raised the $15,000 from climbing Kilimanjaro for a single well. You'd be surprised how expensive they are, because we had to get a group come from Addis Ababa, 12 hours with the stuff to drill, and we got it, and we lay a cement foundation around it, and it was a hand pump. So even the solar ones are even more expensive than that. Yeah. So we finally got it there. We were there the day it opened, and they had a gate around it, and people are lined up because they had been walking about 1.5 miles to a pond that is shared by local wildlife.
Oh, nice.
They have to take the stick with the 2 6-gallon plastic jugs, walk 1.5 miles, collect the water, walk back 1.5 miles, and then to have dirty water to drink. Yeah. And they've been drinking this water for hundreds and hundreds of years, as long as this village has been there. So that's why we designated this area. We found the well, got it dug, found the water, and we come back. And the day off, we have a little ceremony. We dedicate the well. The local townspeople were there, kind of like the mayor. They have a few people that are there. They're so honored. You're tied into the church, so the pastors are all there. And we're pumping the water for the first time. And these kids are coming up and splashing in it. And this elderly lady, I say elderly, she's probably 65, which is very old for this village. They typically, lifespans are mid-50s, late 50s. So she's sipping she's getting the water and she's drinking some right out of the pump. I mean, you're pumping it. And she says, I'm trying to think what it was. It was Igi Megagi, which is the slang. It's not Swahili. It's another tribal language. Igi Swagali. And it says, it's not salty. And for the first time in her life,
grown up with it,
drinking salty water filled of urine of the animals and the water, and she drank it, and the smile on her face when she said it's not salty. Outside of a bottle of water, which they have a few there, she's never drank fresh water like that. So for her to say it's not salty, I started crying. It got me. Wow. It hit me right in the chest, and I'm like, because we gripe about so many silly things here, you know, like I got to walk 12 feet to the water fountain.
That's right.
And this water's not cold.
I have a favorite brand of water.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so for her to drink that for the first time in her 60 years in living in this village, to have fresh, clean water, it so struck me and hit me like you said, a moment of thank you, Lord. Just thank you for, to humble me.
Yeah, that's the first thing to remind us is the humbling nature of this has got to just be overwhelming. I would think that every trip probably has a moment where you think to yourself, I take way too much for granted. And, that's why I've taken my kids. I've taken 4 of my kids on these trips with me, whether to Central America or Africa, to say, hey, close your mouth when you think you want to gripe about the internet being down for an hour.
Can I take a 6 and a 7-year-old with me on these trips?
Probably. I mean, some of the places we go, it would be totally fine. I mean, we go to areas where, and the kids would love it.
Because they need to learn a lesson like that right now.
Yes. I took my oldest daughter.
Especially
she's 27.
rolling into Christmas.
Yeah, she's 27. I think she was 10 when we went to Honduras one time into just a very poor village where for a day we didn't eat. We had nothing to eat because they had nothing to eat. And my daughter was like, I'm so hungry. And I was like, yeah.
Yep.
Imagine that every day. And you talking about when you hear a kid say a blessing who hadn't eaten in 3 days.
Yeah.
That blessing is better. It's so much more. Dear Lord, thank you for this food. May it nourish our bodies. Amen. Yeah. That we robotically say, this child thanked the Lord for a flour tortilla and a half a cup of beans. And it was the prayer that I've never said a blessing for my food like that. I've never needed it as bad as that child did. So it's just so humbling.
It stops being a ritual and it starts being an actual.
It's an act of worship.
Yeah.
That was so humbling that first
awesome.
time. So it's beautiful to get to see this and be a part of it. And then when we leave, we always try to make sure the church is in charge of either the pump or the water or the generator.
So they become this kind of hub for people.
Exactly. So we try to establish people because we go in Africa. There's lots of Muslim areas, and thank goodness none of them so far have been very. Angry about it because we're coming and bringing water. We're coming in and bringing things that's going to help everybody there. So
we don't like the Christians, but we absolutely like their water. So I mean, that's
that Christian water tastes good.
It tastes good. It's not salty. I mean, that's good.
The trade-off is there for them.
That's so good. Man, that's awesome.
So tell us about this 5K that's coming up. It's on the 14th. You guys are going to attempt the hill again, huh?
Oh yeah. That's kind of the.
We had some folks get sick on that hill. Looking at you, Jeremy.
I didn't get sick, but I know someone who did.
Your offspring did.
Hey, we're not going to call out James. I'm sorry. It was funny. James is at UAH now, and he's playing ultimate frisbee, and he's running nonstop. And he was picking with me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, I ran a 5K with the team," and he does this all the time now.
Sure.
And he goes, "Hey, guess what? I didn't throw up." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome, right?
Progress."
And so look at that. So
tell us about this 5K here at Clearbranch.
Well, for years, about probably 10 years ago or so, I started a trail run in Trussville at the parks there where the baseball park and soccer fields are in Trussville, the sports complex.
Yeah.
And we did it, and this was when I was coaching, at that time I was coaching girls golf.
Oh.
So we did it as a fundraiser and just kind of threw it together at the last minute in May, and we made a couple $1,000s off of it, which was great for girls golf. So then I started coaching lacrosse, and it got bigger. We had done it 4, 5, 6 years in a row. And then finally, with lacrosse, we had enough money through other means and fundraisers. I was talking with Chris, and I had just come back from Uganda, so this was probably 2015. I said, hey, I want to take trail run and make it for Designs for Hope. And so we did, and the trail run grew. We had almost 70, 80 runners, and good. And then COVID hit, and then for some reason the park said, yeah, you can do a run, but you can't broadcast it. You can't promote the race or something. It was something to Trussville Parks and Rec. It was during COVID that May. And everybody's outside. I mean, everybody was blowing up outside because you couldn't go to school or work. And so anyway, we did away with it in 2020, and then I tried to hit another one in 21. And so for the past couple of years, I've been looking for Designs for Hope. What can we get back into? And I just said, well, let's do just a regular road race. You tend to get a little bit better result. People just want to get out and run and help support a good cause. So I think just with you involved with F3 or maybe Gaither, the music guy here.
Micah. Gaither. Yeah, that's his F3 name.
Everybody gets an F3 name, And yours?
I'm Banjo.
Banjo.
That's fine.
I'm Doogie for Doogie
Howser.
Anyway, I think just talking with him, and we're like, hey, we work out right here. This is Trussville. I remember when this wasn't Trussville. Now that this is city of Trussville, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're in the city of Trussville.
We are technically in the city of
Yes, I remember when this was all Argo. And so anyway, I said, let's find something.
This was farmland.
Yes. Something local. And I don't want to go down into the heart of Trussville because you got to deal with police and you have to get a lot more permission. And I think I was talking to you about, hey, because we'll come down from F3 and run this from time to time. And I was like, I bet I could find 5,000 meters here somewhere. So starting at the front, we'll zigzag and we'll go up toward Lyles Lane and do a U-turn and come around and zigzag around. And then we'll go up and over that beautiful hill that God put there, all the way to the back down there by Advent and turn around and come back and do it again. And I think we can squeeze 5K out of it again. And I was a little bit short last year, which surprised me because I did it with our track. I coached track and I got our wheel out. And just about everybody that finished the race says that was 2.98. Wasn't 3.1 miles, which is exactly 5,000 meters. And I was like, well, it's close enough.
I think sometimes the GPS kind of does some weird things.
You
cut tight corners or you do things like that.
It cuts it off. So anyway, with his blessing, I said, well, let's see if we can do it here. And last year, we kind of threw it together by about October. We kind of threw it together and had a good response. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more. But the thing is through Designs for Hope, we have people that have already bought the T-shirts for us, that have bought the plaques and trophies. So 100% of our money that the people join to run with is going to go directly for our Africa Clean Water Trip.
That's right.
Nice.
So it's a good way to go get out and exercise, but it's a nice way to put $40 toward these trips. Because like I said, this last pump costs almost $13,000 to put one clean water pump in, but it's going to be there for 100 years.
That's awesome.
They're drinking water today that is clean.
Well, I can tell you, we're pumped about it. It's a great event. It's a great opportunity to support people across the globe. Gosh, if you haven't signed up and you're interested, sign up. We told you guys about links earlier. Show up. We can get you in, I'm sure, on the day of, and we'll have real timing and all sorts of stuff. It's not going to be, it'll be like any other great opportunity you've had to run a 5K before, and the hill is really not that bad. I've run it. It's okay. But you can do it, and you'll probably have some of us out there with you. We'll see. I don't know if Jamie's going to run it or not.
No, I have to run. I have to take care of the race.
I have to manage.
Yes, I'm managing the race.
My son asked me if I was going to run. I said, I don't know. I don't know, James. I'm not. Are you going to run again? Well, we'll see what happens. Anything's possible.
But there are definitely less productive ways to spend a Saturday morning.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you got to work off, all that food you're going to eat for the next couple of weeks. And then go out there and run.
Recover from Thanksgiving and prep for Christmas.
There you go. That's why we put it right in the middle. Right in the middle, right there.
There you go. 5K, the Designs for Hope Christmas 5K is the 14th of December. It's at 8 a.m. here at Clearbranch. You can go register on our website at clearbranch.org. You can also go find on social media Designs for Hope, and I'm sure I've seen the poster out and all the what's happening in sites.
We put out 25 of them last week, I think.
Did you? Awesome. And also runsignup.com. Runsignup.com. That's the direct link to the register. You can go in there and then just put in Christmas Run or Designs for Hope. It'll bring up the link. Click on it and ready to go. So we'd love to have 50 plus runners in it at least, and just have a good time. I'm going to wear my obnoxious Christmas jacket that I wore last year.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm bringing it out again.
I don't really have an obnoxious Christmas jacket.
I don't either.
I just have obnoxious regular jackets.
I have lots of Christmas socks.
Are they obnoxious?
Well, I guess it's relative.
Depends on who's wearing them.
That's right.
There you go.
Depends on the judge.
This has been the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast. Jamie, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. It's been an honor, man. Love it.
Always a pleasure, Jeremy.
Absolutely, my friend. Look forward to next week and all the things ahead and as we're prepping for this awesome run. But yeah, it's great to be here.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week.